Yo, what's going on? What a horrible opening. Seeing just the chest, nothing else. You know what I mean? Anyway, today, how do we start this? I want to talk bullishly, but we have to talk a little bit about reality because over the weekend, there's been an insane amount of things that are happening around the world, stuff that people are capturing on video that is bringing an emotional awareness that I don't think has happened before. Now, obviously, that's the age in technology, yada, yada, yada. But then we take it a step further and we look at the ramifications of certain things that parts of the world are establishing and the ripple effects and how absolutely negative and awakening it is at the same time. So today's stream is going to be kind of a little bit of a coverage of everything. Obviously, we're going to go through crypto, NFTs, everything else under the sun. And of course, I forgot to put it live for abstract. Holy smokes, I don't even know where are we live on. Are we everywhere? I have no idea. I should probably check that. Anyway, we're not in abstract. That's okay. But let's get into it. So the Digital Safety Act, or whatever the hell it's called in the UK, here's an example of the fallout, where now everybody has to prove that they're of a certain age to view certain content. Now, there was the thing out of Canada before where like certain news sources were blocked. If you are in Canada or coming out of Canada, I don't really remember what the hell it is, but here's an example. So because I'm in the UK, this is what I see on X now when attempting to read or view random political posts from my followers. There is no current way to prove my age, even though X takes payments from me each month. All right, so, depending on where you are, you can look at that and say, all right, whatever, that's, that sucks to suck sort of deal. But it's also like, you know what? I'm somebody that does a stream every single day. I watch the timeline. I consume everything. You can call me a fence sitter in a lot of different topics. I am. But okay. So there's bad stories that come out potentially, and we're blocking certain things. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And again, it's all under the disguise of trying to keep people safe that are under the age of 16 online, even though there's reports that now they're wanting to allow people that are 16 to vote, but then information isn't supposed to get to them. Sort of weird. So Tyler Winklevoss here from Gemini, which is a major crypto exchange. There was a post that he made last week saying JP Morgan and the banksters are trying to kill fintech and crypto companies. They want to take away your right to access your banking data for free via third-party apps like Plaid and instead charge you and the fintech's exorbitant fees to access your data. And so it was a follow-up to that where he said, my tweet from last week struck a nerve. This week, JP Morgan told us that because of it, they were pausing their re-onboarding of Gemini as a customer after they off-boarded us during Operation Choke Point 2.0, which if you don't know, basically under the previous administration within the US, there was a lot of, basically if you're in crypto, you're a criminal sort of deal. This is how a lot of things were handled, and obviously that's not the case. But, Tyler trying to highlight the fact of, yeah, you know what, before that wasn't all that great. They want us to stay silent while they quietly take away your right to access your banking data for free through third-party fintechs like Plaid. Sorry, Jamin Diamond, we're not going to stay silent. We will continue to call out this anti-competitive rent-seeking behavior and a moral attempt to bankrupt fintech and crypto companies. So things are getting very spicy on the founder front. Now, we have to, as I said at the beginning, we try to, play fair and fence it and, give two sides of the perspective of things. And so Gemini, again, founder, Tyler talking about, I wouldn't tell them where I sent my Bitcoin, so Gemini closed my account. So the whole KYC thing, we have this online data of wanting to know what's going to happen here. Does it come to a head where it's just, okay, you have an account that is linked somehow on crypto in the blockchain. It's like, all right, that's who you are. We can verify you. Now you go into these different apps and you are just known from that single point of entity, but you're anonymous otherwise. Is that something that could potentially happen? Potentially. Here's another interesting story from So I get in a taxi. Driver's on the phone with Western Union, clearly frustrated. They go back and forth for 20 minutes. It's a brutal call. Finally, it ends. Driver tells me this happens weekly. He sends $100 to Haiti every Friday, but it rarely processes, so he has to call. Western Union charges him $10 for that transaction. Then once a month, he sends $500 to Florida. For this, Western Union charges him $70. Insane highway robbery, if you ask me. Cannot wait for stablecoins to crush Western Union. Don't let anyone tell you that cross-border payments isn't an interesting use case. Totally agree. Now, I'm not necessarily sending money to anybody out there, but it absolutely highlights the need for this and how these centralized systems, in a way, sometimes are kind of taking advantage of you. Now, just on a sports-related topic, isn't it funny that almost every sporting activity right now is heavily incentivized on gambling? All of it is just go make your bets, your props, what the hell ever else. And Shane Pinto in the NHL last season was suspended for half a season because they bet on a different sport that is massively pushed, that everybody is making a huge bag off of. Kind of stupid. I agree. And so back to the UK Online Safety Act. This is what it sort of looks like when you're trying to verify your age. So it's an estimation because unless you have like ID, but this is what it is. So user process. User selects verify by email in APT. User manually enters their email address. VMA sends a time-limited OTP link to the email. User clicks the link to verify ownership. VMA analyzes the email's digital footprint using financial institutions, utility providers, and public records. So how do they get access to all that? VMA estimates the user's age. If results indicates 18 plus, APT flags user as verified. I mean, how the hell can you tell the age off of an email exactly? I kind of want to know. I want to go down the rabbit hole and find out exactly what that looks like. And then we have the VPN purchases soaring after the Online Safety Act. Look at the absolute spike on that chart. Unbelievable. People are wanting to get out of there. So Disney Pinnacle, if you haven't seen, there was a Star Wars pin that sold for $30,000. This one here, right? And then there was an Incredibles pin that sold for $25,000. So back to the conversation around IP that's been around for a while, that has some good mojo around it, one of ones in certain instances. And now I'm seeing talk about the fact that, well, maybe Disney Pinnacle is the new NBA Top Shot, and you'd be paying attention. And maybe that is the case. And then you go into this. And so I'm not going to play this clip because they blur out the lady's face. And this guy's just basically at Disney and asking people, well, how much did he spend on this vacation? And the person says, I think it was something like, never mind, I got to jump ahead. I forget what the hell it was. It was, it was $26,000 or $36,000. I forget the exact number. So you either have like a week vacation at Disney for that, or you buy a one-of-one pin for $30,000. Yeah. See, when you compare it like that, you know how many people go out and actually do those trips. It's like, you know what? Maybe those digital artifacts in quotes aren't too shabby after all. Now, last week I crashed out a little bit because they had this panel at SDCC, and it was a bajillion people from the Web3 space on a panel. And I just don't think this sort of thing adds that much value because there's not enough time for everybody to get the points. There's not enough time for everybody to add something. Sure, it's an hour for filler. Kind of cool that the guys wearing the Pudgy Penguin soccer jersey within there showing, again, we're proliferating outside of Web3. But it's like, holy smokes, what are we doing? So the first ever meet at the Clubhouse bubble, another side is happening now over on the Bored Ape Yacht Club side. This is the other day.
Possible, but other than that, I really like seeing going into the clubhouse and seeing all the little details.
So what do you think about this? Instead of doing your weekly Twitter spaces, instead of doing your weekly Discord calls, whatever it is, you're all kind of in this digital environment. You're hanging around, but you're more included. You're a part of it. You can walk around. You can have your name displayed in a different way. I think it's cool. Curious to see how many other people jump into that sort of highlight. Lazy Lion Sweep 2021 Bull Run vibes are back. I was going to do a whole stream that was really focusing specifically on the NFT movement. We'll talk about it a little bit, maybe tomorrow. There's a little bit more, but there feels like there's so many things about the weekend and just in general. Like I don't think it's like an NFT only focus stream for today. Because again, this whole awakening, whatever we call it, of holy crap, what's going on? It's kind of the focus right now. Our bags are taking over SDCC, the Pudgy Penguins. These guys are giving out bags galore. And my, oh my, was it ever working? People were coming through. I don't even know if half the people that were grabbing these things are a part of the event whatsoever. Because this looks like it's just like a random downtown area where people go to stores and whatnot. But very genius marketing, going to that event and handing out bags. So this one's maybe a little bit controversial, but it shouldn't be. So on a flight next to what seemed like a sweet grandma at a professor at a New York university asked what I do. And Matthew Siegel says, I look after Bitcoin investments for a New York investment manager. The lady responds, oh, you work with Trump, she says, turning up her button nose. I'm telling you, you say one word and people just tweak out. So back to my point about, oh, you know what? People aren't going to touch this industry for a while. That has been exacerbated by Trump talking about it. And I think that means even more that there's going to be more and more people that aren't going to be touching it because of simply that connotation, which is stupid as hell, but it's a society we live in right now. And so here's another thing that's really stupid as hell. British family pulled over by police for having British flags in British England. So the women's, I don't think it was the World Cup, maybe it was the World Cup, but some kind of massive tournament. They have English flags in the back, and these police officers are going up and grilling them. And then I saw another video of a lady walking her kid down the street, and then this cop walks up to her and asks her for ID. She says no, and then she gets arrested. It's like, okay, so if all these things are happening for going outside, this is going to be bullish for everybody just staying online because if the world's really that whacked out. And let's move over to Australia just for a second while we're on the topic. How about it? Listen, if you're enjoying that stream too, drop a like. Appreciate any share. So the Australian government just admitted what we all knew. To ban under 16s, everyone will have to upload their ID. The government will be able to track any X or Facebook post. No VPN will save you. Press hard if you don't want UK evil type dictatorship. All right. So this goes down like a huge list because, again, if you've been online, you've probably seen where there's people that have made comments about certain stuff. And I don't mean, like, if you're making threats to other individuals and all that kind of jazz, absolutely. But just making general remarks, we've seen people that have had their house visited and other crazy stuff in other parts of the world. And it's just crazy. And to the point that I'm trying to make earlier of, all right, well, if everything is just going online, you need to have these ID verifications. Well, all this stuff is like, is everybody's lives just going to be completely transparent for these companies to look at? Are we going to have one area that you go into? And obviously this is talking about just Australia, but everywhere is kind of a test ground to see what exactly happens elsewhere in the world. And so everything that we see online, as we're watching blockchain, all of this stuff is extremely relevant. Okay. And then we got Kai Cenat that's out buying some Bored Ape Yacht Club X Bape slides going out there. This is, you know, big news over the weekend as well. People were like, hell yeah, just found them, vibe with them. We'll see if that has any connotation to the brand and the street culture wear, which it felt like Bored Apes were really like focused on for a while. And then like they haven't done a merch drop in a hot minute. So I want to give you an update on a new scam that is happening. This isn't relating to crypto, but if you've been watching the stream, we always try to talk about security for crypto. But there's a new thing that's in person that you're going to get in mail potentially that is called brushing. So let's hear what it's about.
Well, here's a public service announcement. Apparently there's a new scam going around and it is called brushing. Now this right now is involving people in Oklahoma, Kansas City, Arkansas, and Missouri. And I would imagine that it's going to spread further. Now what they are doing is they are sending you a package, whether it be from an anonymous person, your family members, or whatever. They'll just use whatever name they can come up with to make you open this package. Now, when you open this package, there won't be anything in it. It'll have a QR code. It wants you to scan this QR code to claim your package or whatever. Do not do this, because when you scan that package, that QR code allows it to get into your phone, and it will steal all of your private information, names, numbers, contacts, all of that.
All that stuff. So to highlight this thing actually happened to me, so I can talk about it somewhat. So I ordered a charging cable, and the charging cable came, and then it said that I got a free Oculus VR headset, and I just needed to scan this code. Obviously, I didn't scan the code, but this is the exact sort of thing. This happened months ago. There is an absolute blitz right now. This is not the first time that I've seen this on my timeline. I'm starting to see it pop up a lot more. So if you have anybody that you know, direct family, etc., let them know. Say, hey, if you get a package with the QR code that gives you some sort of deal, just simply don't scan it. I think people are pretty smart now in 2025, but at the same time, like, you know what? People feel like they might get lucky on something specifically. So Paul Barron here, who is a big crypto YouTube content creator on X, everywhere else as well, just said this, and I'm trying to like fully comprehend it, because this is somebody that has a massive reputation, that has huge sponsors, that is very, very well known. And I don't know if this is just like an engagement, fun, happy-go-lucky, or if there's actually something that is that he's been made aware of to go out and make this sort of post. So something extraordinary is about to happen in crypto. Bigger than regulation, bigger than the president of the United States election, bigger than Bitcoin blasting highs, and even bigger than a quadruple of ETH and XRP. Stay strong, Valhalla awaits. Imagine if I posted something like that, you'd be like, all right, Joe's got a little bit too much to drink today. Like, hell, I'm here for it, absolutely. But geez Louise, talk about optimism. So one thing that I noticed too is over on the VFriends side, they've been really heavy on doing the trading card front with the VFriends cards, right? whole bunch of different variants, multiple seasons. We're seeing Vibes having mass success with them. Zuki tried launching a card game. Chimpers has it's more like collectibles than like a full card game over on the Chimper side. But it's interesting to note that some of these NFT brands have found massive success within the trading card space. So let me just go on a fun little journey for a second. So Apple TV had this Major League Soccer 50% off thing. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll buy. Man, I am like really heavily addicted back into soccer again. I watched the Major League Soccer All-Star game. It was so good. Toronto's an absolute garbage team. Vancouver's fun as hell to watch. Going over to the side of Nashville, that team is absolutely crazy. Miami with Messi, Suarez, they got De Jong. It's great. It's great. Trust me. Listen, if you get an opportunity, if it's on your TV, watch a game. Some of the teams are terrible, but listen, I found a new passion, for soccer. So take a look at this. I've made the notion on stream multiple times over that people are lonely. One is the loneliest number. And a lot of these NFT communities provide a space and outlet for people to go and connect with, whether it be a car club, whether it be people going out and doing sports. There's a lot of things in person you have. But for those that prefer the online persona or just simply staying at home because you're a staycation type of person, it's a great area to be social with. So a simple X post asking people to share a lore about themselves has now amassed 1.2 billion views. And so essentially, it was this post, people quote tweeted and said something like, I mean, I'll say, I went to New York like twice in my life, and it was great, right? That's stupid as hell, but people went like super down the rabbit hole of some extreme things. We had people that brought up certain NFT collections, and I saw one person that talked about how Keyboard Monkey, they were like the last person to mint hash masks. It was on a bonding curve. They paid 100 ETH for it, and it revealed the entire collection way back when, which is unreal to think about. But then one of the comments here made me think of the Web3 culture. This just proves that people are waiting to share a piece of themselves that no one's ever prompted them to before. I agree. People want to share stuff. They like talking. It's what they do. Web3 gives them an outlet. So Blast went to the moon. Well, not exactly the moon, but it spiked up. Apparently, Proof of Play bought it. So I don't know what's going on with Pac-Man. There's a lot of just oddities within the Web3 space right now. Doodles, half of like their senior management team leaving. A lot of things seeming not progressing on certain points. Pixel Vault randomly shutting down after selling millions upon millions of punks and everything else. It doesn't make any sense. But to talk about memes for a second, Camel saying, lost a decent amount of money trading on Abstract yesterday. Super happy all my friends made a bag, but just be careful, y'all. Don't FOMO into a pump and never be exit liquidity. Well, welcome to meme coins. On the esports realm, sort of weird. Kind of. I don't really know what to say. Team Liquid, which is massive in League of Legends and a ton of other esports, introducing the Liquid Vault. And this was an ad that I got on the timeline, by the way. I didn't just like naturally see this. It popped up as an ad, but had to save it. So claim your free limited edition digital collectible now. Win epic prizes including an Alienware gaming laptop and monitors, Steam gift cards, and more. Celebrate Team Liquid's 25th anniversary and own a piece of our unrivaled esports legacy. Enter the vault powered by Sui Network. So very, very interesting. Obviously, Sui had all that connotation and thoughts before that maybe they're related to Pokemon in some sort. That seems to have been like false pretenses that haven't really come around. But seeing the likes of this major esport team doing digital collectibles and then giving out a whole bunch of prizes, and it's like a legitimate partnership, I mean, that's really cool to see out on the timeline. So Rec Brands, this is a Web3-based brand that's got NFTs, it's got a token, it's got all that sort of stuff. So back in April, they announced that they bought their token back for $104,000. So that $100,000 that they spent is now worth $2 million. It's pretty brilliant. Also, apparently for like that Rec Brands, and I'll try to bring up a post for it tomorrow, but they sold drinks that came with like X amount of tokens. So if you spent like, I don't know, $10, $15, $20 to buy the drinks, you got like X amount of tokens with it. And now the tokens, if you bought those drinks, are worth like $300 or something crazy now because they went up so much, which is just wild. So here's my take on things right now. And again, apologies that we didn't focus super heavily on the NFT space, but I'm just, I feel really passionate and invigorated over seeing some of the stupid stuff that is happening. Well, some of it's good. The ramifications, the trickle-down effects are bad, but the whole online economy is really shifting. People's perspective on the world, the emotional intelligence, the rash reactions to like the smallest of things. I feel like we're getting into crypto loves chaos. We're getting into a little bit of chaos, okay? But we've seen an unheard of, well, back in 2021, rise in NFTs out of absolutely nowhere. So interesting to see that Web3 founders who speak optimistically are seeing their projects' floor prices rise, while the quiet ones are seeing little to no price action right now. So if you've been on the timeline, you've been seeing these collections, you probably have noticed that certain founders are very... there's a lot going on. Get excited. Here we go. Woo! Right? And then the ones that are completely silent. And we've seen proportionally the people that have been super vocal having unreal floor price increases, right? So as an example, Spencer from Moonbirds, Orange Cap Games, they do the Vibes TCG. The Moonbirds were at $770. Kevin Rose basically was like, I'm done with this. They gave it to Yuga. Yuga ended up selling it to Spencer or something. And Spencer has literally been bull posting every like fourth hour of the day. And they went from $770 to $9,200 in 3 months. Of 1,095.5%. And I don't know if there's anything that is like fundamentally changed except for talking positively about the collection. And so scrolling down, insert, I messed up. I said lead. I meant you always like your own post, by the way. Always like your own post. If you're not liking your own posts and bookmarking them, you're not trying. True. Blocks here. I think the formulas talk positive and don't have a track record of screwing people over. Totally agree with that. The market wants products that are fun. Agree with that. Style over content approach only has a shelf life. I generally agree, except we are waiting for a lot of stuff right now. And then Iron Condor saying that's because the space is driven by vapor and hype. And I kind of agree, right? Like I'm just reflected on the past few weeks and nothing has fundamentally changed except for the price of the underlying currencies on these, like in ETH and Solana, whatever, have gone up. And so is it just a sentiment shift and people are like, oh, I'm fine to go and spend things when that wasn't the case before? I'm trying to fully comprehend what the hell all of this is about. Now, not that I'm, complaining the prices are up, but we seem to have founders that are talking bullishly and those collections having an increase in floor, and then historical collections like the Moonbirds, not Moonbirds, Moon Cats, and the likes of curio cards are getting swept, and then hash masks are suddenly the talk on the timeline. And it's like, okay, well, where the hell did all this come from? I've talked about historical NFTs. What does it matter? And then it goes back to just the narrative aspect. So final thing I'm going to leave you with, because I've been ranting a whole lot, Ponce here with the Plague NFT. And he's saying he's frustrated with the NFTs and like they're just not really performing that great. So I think it's important to share those things every once in a while. So below is the thread of some, but not all things we've done since mint. So they paid for life-saving surgery for someone. Absolutely love it. NFTs for good. Paid for a master's degree for their artist. Absolutely love it. That's cool. Helped their little boy Caden with his schooling. Hell yeah. Got that all covered. Bought Christmas gifts for struggling kids. Hell yeah. Feed the homeless. Hell yeah. Took care of our own. Hell yeah. Took care of the family of one of our own. Hell yeah. Listen, this is all great and good. And this is why you need to be out there. If you're doing stuff, let people know. Highlight this. This is awesome. Love seeing that from the Plague. Love seeing you guys here on the stream. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. We'll be back tomorrow as per usual. If you're enjoying this, of course, don't forget we do the RWA Segments podcast, where if you want to see me interview some of the smartest minds in the business, get a little bit more familiar for yourself within the real world asset space and what exactly that means in this whole chaotic world where people are trying to do stuff that's transparent, that's good. Jeez, it's got the goods. Links in the description below if you're on YouTube or in my bio on X. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.